I'd had a couple questions about how I actually got the Gotek going with the HXC software, because the last video I did, I just kind of, at that point, I hadn't figured it out yet. And to be honest, I don't know exactly what step I did that changed as far as why it was picking it up, but I was thought about it, and I was looking at the files here. So you can see I've done this quite a few times, trying to get this thing to work. But this last time I tried, what I did was I went into the emulator manager folder and then in the Amiga, and I copied the auto boot and this config file over to the drive. And prior to that, I did format the drive first, and then I dragged these over. Prior, what I had been doing was using the, if you go into the beta firmware and you just got the config files, and I was choosing, I tried all of them at some point, but you know, I would take the auto boot mode and drag it over there. And I think that's the one thing that I did different, was pulling these two files from this folder. Now I don't know if that's what caused it to work, because honestly what happened was, even after doing this, I shut the thing off because it just wasn't working. And then I came back, you know, a week or so later when I had some time, and I figured I'd try it again, and the LCD came on and I could scroll through all the stuff. So and this was before I even put the CIA chips in, so I really have no idea what actually caused it to work. But it is somewhat working now. One of the issues it does sometimes do now, whether or not I can get it to do it now or not, probably not, since I'm trying to demonstrate, it's probably not going to do it. But what it'll do is this red light will start flashing, and you'll see the title of whatever it is, but this whole bottom row will start flashing at the same rate that the red light does, and it just kind of locks up. It can't read or something. So that's pretty much where I'm at with it now. But I mean, for the most part, it's usable. Something else I've thought of that could possibly be an issue is I took this floppy cable out of a old server, because when I got this thing, it didn't have a floppy drive or anything in it, so I needed a cable, you know, to hook it up, and I did have to modify it. You have to flip that twist around that's in there, and it is very long, so I don't know, I mean, it's probably not likely, but if I come across another cable that's a little shorter, you know, I'll try it out and see if it clears up any problems. But that's pretty much it with the Gotek. Let me think of some other things. Oh, I do have a brand new Gotek here, and I have an LCD screen, and what I plan on doing when I get some time is maybe I'll do a video on how I wired this screen in, and possibly even like programming the software. I know there's some other videos on the software programming portion, but I'll see what I come up with. And I'd like to try to add the sound mod as well, because initially I thought it'd be just irritating to have that, but when you're trying to diagnose things and you're not necessarily looking at the drive all the time, it's nice to hear that, so you can kind of tell if the drive is doing something or not. And I picked one of these up. It's one of those things, something from China. I was trying to come up with a way to be able to mount it on the front without like drilling holes in the case or anything like that, but I don't know how it's going to work out. They don't really put anything in here that lets anything snap into place. You pretty much have to kind of get it where you want it and hot glue it or do something along those lines. So I'll just play that by ear as well. like I said, I did get I got 2 CIA chips. I just replaced the one because I think there was only one that was bad, and I can swap them back and forth, and I don't get any issues. One of the problems I was having is with the workbench screen. I'd insert a disc, and then I would double click on something, and it would freeze up. The mouse would freeze up, and the drive wouldn't function or anything. So I think I got that taken care of as far as all that goes. One issue that's kind of a pain I'm still having, and I don't really think it's CIA related. I think it's because of this. It's an old school keyboard adapter. So I got an old Windows 95 keyboard here, and it's one of those. What is it? Chin on or a KBD Win 95. Sorry, I can't do two things at once. This particular box you have to use an old, like a really old keyboard, because I tried some other ones with it and it wasn't mapped right. So, but my issue is when this is plugged in and you do a cold boot, for whatever reason it causes it to hang up on the black screen, and as soon as you unplug it, it continues to go through its boot process. So whatever it's doing is it's stopping the initialization of the boot process, and as soon as it starts booting, you plug it in, and then you can keep it in there, do a warm boot, and everything's fine. So yeah, I'm hoping it's just the keyboard adapter with that. And some things I plan on doing in the future here. I'm on the queue for a keyboard, or not a keyboard, got that on the brain now, a kickstart switcher. And I've already got the Kickstart 3.1. I've got one of those in there, and I'm gonna get that put in. Hopefully soon I'll get my programmer. I can get this RAM module reprogrammed and play around with that a little bit. I want to do some RAM testing and see if there's any errors or anything like that that pop up. And ultimately, I'd like to do or build the TF530 and put in here, and see how it goes with that, and play around a little bit. I get more fun out of just tinkering around with it than I do actually using it, but it's pretty fun to screw around with. So as for now, I think that's all I've been thinking about with this thing right now. Oh, I am thinking that I got an old ATX power supply. It's a micro one. Of maybe converting this power supply over. I don't know how many watts that is. I think it's like 150 or 175 watts. Just from the standpoint of, I don't know, adding an accelerator, adding more RAM, doing things like that to it. I don't know what kind of wattage this thing had from the factory, but it couldn't hurt to have a little more robust power supply. So I may just wait until I need it or not. But alrighty, well, that's just an update on what I'm screwing around with here. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.